Let's go and
All
jump right into it, guys. Finals time. We are here. Buff Duck, #1 seed, going against Soliloquy, are making left and right upsets here. So let's see what goes down in game #1.
Oh yeah, Buff Duck runs the quadruple toxic. I mean, I always forget that Volarant is a toxic team, but that's mostly because Volarant is just immune to all, like it takes neutral damage from everything. So I tend to forget that it is in fact a toxic tem. So Mushrook opening here, exploiting the lack of wind tems here. Buff Duck with triple toxic. I'm not sure how much Yowler can do in this spot, but Gyalis definitely with resistance can make something. Can do a lot of work here.
And you know what? Soliloquy with the Yowler again doesn't feel too bad. Of course, there is just a single mental tem. We see the mix here, so unlike the previous matchup with Fireman, at least there is a clear effective damage like these side surge, like the energy manipulations. Well, let's see. We said it earlier, Blue. The battle of the birds, I guess, is decided here right now, guys. Which one is the better 2Y evolution? Is it 2Kai? Is it 2Rock? The settle gets scored right here in the finals.
Yeah, the answer
it becomes
is
official. The answer is 2Y. Yes.
2Y. Yeah. But I mean, in all seriousness, right? 2Kai and 2Rock. Didn't get much love, unlike their predecessor, 2Vine. So, it's nice to see the different forms of 2Y come in here and make an impact. But speaking of making an impact, Grumper comes in, quadruple damage onto that 2Kai. Not going to be very fun if it gets swapped in properly. And actually, Yaula being banned is very big. Now I'm questioning where Soliloquy's burst damage is going to come from, right? Because I don't think he wins a long drawn out fight.
It's gonna be on the backs of Gyalis and this Catfire here, but not Catfire, why did I call it Catfire? This Riken here, but Riken doesn't feel too good right here into this board, right? Mushrook eats those up. 2Kai is gonna be a good counter. Doesn't really do too much into Golder. I mean, Volcrane is there to counter those fire attempts. Those stone balls are there. That's exactly what he was recruited for, or might be recruited for. I guess Riken would be really good for mix. And I guess Volarant doesn't like taking physical damage, so maybe. And Soliloquy's thinking about very carefully, does he want to recruit Nagai's on this team? How good is Nagai's on Soliloquy's team? I guess he says yes. Perhaps the Fury to deal with Volcrane, the Beta Burst to deal with Mushrook. Or the AoE for mix as well. Fury also really impactful onto mix as well. So there we go, makes sense, of course.
Right. I mean, that's so big. Is the fact that the mix and any of the toxic tems do so much work. Like, and any sort of methodology Soliloquy enters into feels so bad. Like, if you pick Riken Gyalis, you walk into a 2Kai, right? And also tenderness is a thing, right? So, and to put it into perspective, there's still a Golder, and again, your only tem that can deal with them is a 2Rock, which is also affected by tenderness. So Mushrook is so value here for Buff Duck.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw how good Mushrook was in the previous games as well. So let's take a look. Alright, so the team's almost rounding out. It will be the Volarant as the last recruit for Buff Duck. So obviously Volarant pretty good. I mean, against this team, Volarant doesn't feel too ideal. The Grumper always likes to face it off. And of course, 2Rock isn't as strong as a 2Vine against the Volarant. But still, some Feather Gatlings will be able to get the job done eventually. So the question is Riken or Gyalis, and yeah, as we mentioned before, Riken didn't feel all that good, so Gyalis is picked up. Alright, so this is it. As I mentioned, the tournament leading up to the finals, we are finally here. Buff Duck on a tear, as I keep on saying. Is he gonna keep going? Is it gonna be the first time we ever see the #1 seed? Or Soliloquy a bit of that wild card pickup here in the monthly invitational? Is he gonna do it? We've seen that before. I believe Gold was one of the wild card picks on one of his first ever tournaments, and Gold won it all in the monthly. So maybe it's one of those stories for Soliloquy. But I'm just excited to jump into it. Not a lot of pressure, I want to say, in this first turn, right?
For the side of Buff Duck, I think. Actually, both sides have.
Yeah, I guess decent amount. Yeah, actually, wait a minute. Beta Burst did a lot more than I would have thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess this Machoke should be getting pretty low. Oh, of course, we saw it before. One Noxious Bomb did about 50%, so I take it back. The pressure was on the side of Soliloquy there. I forgot about Nox Bomb.
The big thing here to note is that Buff Duck may not actually have tenderness, because I'm sure if he had it, he would have done it by now, right? Because you definitely want to shut down the opponent Turok's damage, but because of Buff Duck's situation right now, I'm not like, he decided to uppercut instead of tenderness, so he might not have it. Right, I would say reducing the attack of the Turok is gigantic here, but regardless, Tukai's gonna live another Noxious Bomb, which is important. Soliloquy kind of has to commit to the Tukai spot if he wants to kill it off. But Buff Duck, reading that potentially maybe the case Voliran will be swapping out here. So Voliran will be swapping out. Hypnosis will be thrown to the Voliran spot. So maybe reading it, maybe just preparing for the worst. Rushiol.
Oh, we haven't seen that in a bit here.
Noxious Bomb is in fact thrown out here on the Voliran.
Interesting.
That is so strange.
Yeah, you put it to sleep to wake it up. So I think the idea there, Soliloquy banking on Kinu outspeeding Tukai, and then Turok being slower than the Tukai. So he was trying to make Tukai miss his turn. I believe that was the reason behind that madness there. So it's reasonable if he for certain knew Kinu was faster, because if Tukai outsped Kinu, that would have been pretty bad. Say a tsunami or something like that coming its way. But hey, ended up working out. But in this situation, Buff Duck coming a bit more not ahead, but you know, more in his favor from that exchange, because now Voliran's able to attack. So Noxious Bomb going into Kinu perhaps. But what can Soliloquy bring out to try to eat that? Maybe this Gialis doesn't look too bad.
Soliloquy swapped out here for the Grumper. The Grumper, again, one of the few Tems on Soliloquy's team that is sort of destined to do devastating amounts of damage here. The Voliran is aerobic as well, so the Thunderstrike is going to one-shot it no matter what here. But Rushiol on the Chamomile does absolutely nothing. Turok gets his chance, but the Gatling is tossed out, and so the Machoke will for sure die next turn if it stays in. But the big factor here is the Thunderstrike. Voliran has to leave. If it stays in, it's going to die.
Yeah, nice stuff. So I'm seeing here why it was the Grumper. Buff Duck saying, okay, we got another Euroshow coming our way, so let's try to eat it up as best we can. The Chamomile keeping it rather good. So we will see, Voliran and not taking up too much damage, but as you said, Blue, if Voliran does stay in, that is a heavy Thunderstrike. -1 special defense, enough to send it running, so running it will. And Golder, big boy Golder coming out to play. Is the uppercut enough for the 2 ticks? Yeah, it is. So the 2 ticks will be closing it out in the next turn.
Yeah, Machoke does go down, which secures that one. But of course, the Thunderstrike or the E-Storm does come out here. Golder is going to be fine with that though, so he is going to be for the most part okay with that. But the Turok has 1 turn to go. Does Turok learn Tornado? Because if it does, we're most likely going to see a Turok Tornado here.
Yeah, we will see. I think it does. I thought all the birds had access to Tornado, all the 2Y evolutions.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does have
So
tornado.
yeah,
So
we'll
we might
see.
just
I don't know if a lot of people run it on 2-Rock, but if it does, might as well go. You're going down a Toxic Tick either way. Go out swinging here. Does decent damage onto Golder. I mean, I think for Buff Duck here, I think Mix feels rather good. You got your 3 prio energy manip if 2-Rock just wants to go down, or you know, if you want to bring down 2-Rock before he gets off anything. And then mixed with those sea spikes, not all that bad into Grumper as well. I mean, I don't think Volderon's the answer, so it has to be Mix.
Yeah. Mix gets swapped in, so prediction correct on that. But yeah, I mean the Grumper, I wouldn't mind a attempted double up on the Mix, but this 2-Rock is definitely dead. It has to Tornado to try and out Prio. And there's no way to save it either, which is the other side of this problem. And yeah, Sea Spikes goes first, not even Tornado will save the 2-Rock here. So just a guaranteed kill. Now, question is what does Grumper decided to do? Stonewall itself.
Alright,
Smart
not
play.
too bad, not too bad. Making himself a little bit buffed up for that 2Kai and Volderon in the back line, so good idea. What is coming out here though? So you know, now that this 2-Rock is gone, there is no really effective damage against this Golder, right? This Golder might be such a big problem for Soliloquy. We'll see how tanky it is from a couple attacks, but no Feather Gatlings around to bring it down. I guess has to put the heavy lifting onto Gialis perhaps. Gialis with just a strong physical pressure. But if this is a punching bag Golder, those hook kicks and double gashes, they're not going to be doing all that much on the Golder. We have to see.
Sea Spikes get thrown out here. Gialis will take that 33% damage. The Thunder Strike though, as mentioned, wow, that does very little damage, and the Grumper's now out of stamina. That's big, because now the Mix can't really get pressured here. He's gonna have to get C-Bit into E-Storm for potential.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I'm sure Buff Duck has tech for it, but I don't know. This is a Sweatband Mix. There's no Rock Shield. If this is like a max attack Gialis, Crystal Bite should be enough. I think it is enough to go 100-0, but it might be very close. Somewhere in the single digits might survive. But Buff Duck, knowing that, what can be an appropriate swap? Oh, nothing wants to eat a Crystal Bite. I think this is a bit dangerous position. And this is just the power of Gialis. Crystal Bite is such a heavy attack. Of course, the strongest attack Gialis has currently.
Yeah, this is sort of the problem Buff Duck is gonna have, is that he doesn't really have a swap out for his side. The Mix is going to get obliterated here if it's not careful. The question is if Buff Duck tech max defense, although that feels a bit insane considering that Mix was faster than 2-Rock, so I'm pretty sure the Mix is not full defense here. It might have like partial defense, but definitely not maximum defense. I'm checking actually right now if it will do enough, because I'm just comparing Tuvan's attack to Gialis's. Because CPG one-shots Mix without Rock Shield no matter what, so I'm trying to do the same idea with Gialis, and I mean, Buff Duck decides, let's not take the risk at all. So Volderon will be swapped in here, but again, as we mentioned, C-Bite, look at that damage.
Oh, the E-Storm
will hit the E-Storm. I mean, as predicted, was going to come in, and if that was the Mix, it'd definitely be in the grave by now. But the Grumper does overexert for that, and pollution is applied. Gialis will be fine, but the Grumper definitely is not. The Mix definitely gonna come in again, but we might. I mean, I wouldn't mind if Soliloquy double swapped here to Kinu, and then Naga Issei, and then swap Gialis and Grumper back in, maybe, or keep keep Gialis and swap in Kinu. Either way,
yeah, Gialis no longer acts as a Crystal Bite, and we saw how much one C Spike did, so a double up onto Gialis will bring it down. Is there anything Soliloquy could do? I mean, you could retreat the Gialis, but you don't really have good targets. The other ones in the back are Mental Tem, so C-Spike, just like Soliloquy had Buffduck in a bit of a checkmate situation, now we find Buffduck a bit of a checkmate onto Soliloquy. Crystal Spike, either you get the better of Gialis or you're catching one of these Mental Tems on the entry. And I think, you know, Soliloquy didn't retreat the Grumper there because he doesn't want to reset these buffs. That's a lot of buffs. 1 Kinu buff plus 1 Stonewall plus 3 defense plus 2 special defense. Yeah, I think this Grumper is here to stay. So that might be a bit easier to just read that. So you know Grumper doesn't really want to swap out, or it's a big minus for him. So we'll see. I think Grumper just might have to rest, you know, fight it out, take some bit of a damage. Because it might hurt to lose these buffs here.
Yeah, I don't really know what the best play for Soliloquy is. His hand is forced. I was going to say losing the investment really hurts here, but he really has no choice. Buffduck swaps out the Golder as well for the Tukai, expecting the Grumper to leave, which is the case. He spikes though. Gialis stays in. And will not die. 1% What a gamble! But the hook kick comes through, and so the gamble sort of pays off in that sense, because now Gialis actually now gets away with murder, and the Nagaise has Psy Surge. So this Tukai is for sure dead, or Crystal Bite into Mix, into Fury. But then the question is, Gialis faster than the Mix C-Spike, right?
Yeah, Gialis is going to be indeed faster, so it's going to go after the Mix. I think, you know, it might be Psy Surge both ways, so Psy Surge close it out on Tukai, Psy Surge closing out on Gialis, if Gialis elects to stay, right? Because it could just swap for something like a Kinu or something, or a Grumper. It's going to feel bad though, but maybe let Grumper recover a little bit more in the background. Bringing the Kinu doesn't seem like a bad idea, just to be a bit more tankier against the Mix. But yeah, very close matchup. Can this 100% HP Mix, the Golder, and this last little Tukai get it done? I mean, the HP is favoring Soliloquy right now. But how? I mean, we said it before, this Golder is an issue. Grumper seemingly like a bit of an issue as well, so fairly even.
Ooh. Swap out does appear. Golder comes back in here, protecting the Tukai. Psy Surge comes out. Gialis is going to get picked off, so Gialis sacrifice for the greater good here. We'll see if the greater good pulls out a win. Fury will be thrown out. So a lot of damage here. Mix doesn't go into Puppet Master range. That's a big plus side here. Because now Thunderstrike will one-shot the Mix. Mix has to leave. Yeah.
Wait, you think Sobla? You think Thunderstrike kills at this position? I think it'll be close. It's neutral damage, no? Because Crystal resists? Or is it still double from Mental? I can't recall.
Is it neutral?
I mean, I know something like the Earth techniques is double damage, so he could just go. He could just go Mud Showers, right?
Yeah, Mud Shower as well. Either way, I do think Mix has to go down. It is going to go down here. And even if Buffduck swaps in to eat a Mud Shower, there's still a Beta Burst from the Nagaise as well. That might be a pain. And
yeah,
it's such a problem. I feel like this Mix doesn't have any HP though. That's what I mean.
Yeah, not very much. It wasn't even a Madness buff Nagaise, and it took about 50%. So yeah, it might not be the most HP invested, but still a decent HP, of course. But you know, from this position, with this Mix being in that one-shot kill potential from Mud Showers, I think Soliloquy edging it out ever so slightly here in this turn 10. Nagai's still healthy. Of course, Golder, being as slow as he is, will be saying something about that. Will be able to get out some Toxic Inks. But let's see, is that enough? I think as it stands, with Kinu still in the back line, you got some potential revitalizes to still go. I think that is for sure favoring in Soliloquy's side. But maybe there's a way. Maybe there's a way for Buff Duck if he's able to protect his mix, take down that Grumper. No, but then you got a Fury to deal with too. Yeah, this is tough. Or maybe if Buff Duck wants to be a bit risky, since he's kind of a bit behind here, if he wants to be risky, you keep in the mix and then hope Soliloquy overthinks it and attacks into your Golder, you know, double up trying to for sure take it down. We'll see though. I mean, obviously these tamers are taking their time, thinking very carefully, going very deep into the gas tank, or not the gas tank, the timer. But whoa, Toxic Ink Puppet Master range.
Oh,
wow, interesting play.
Very smart play. Mix is saved by that Thunderstrike, but not the Golder. Golder sacrifices himself there to save the Mix. But I don't think that's still enough. There's still E-Storm available. C-Spikes has to do at least more than 50%, and it does! That was massive! Now Psy-Surge is a big threat against the Nagase.
Yeah.
But still, E-Storm is gonna one-shot both these Tems.
Yeah, this is just a bit of a lose-lose situation. Psy-Surge should clean up the Tukai. Mix should clean up the Nagas, but then at the very end, Grumper is gonna be the one going. But wait a minute, Psy-Surge on Mix goes first, so Nagas falls. And Grumper not gonna be able to get to the Mix just yet. Oh, wait a minute, E-Storm has something else up in mind, and yes, the double kill. And it looks like it's Soliloquy trying to prove everyone wrong, trying to get the job done. So GG, Soliloquy will be getting it done, but that is just game. So let's just get right into it. Game number 2, the picks and bans are underway. Soliloquy on blue side, even though he won, so Buff Duck deciding to go on the orange side. Very interesting. Yeah. We saw that with Argisosceles as well.
Yeah, wanted last pick. So well, what the biggest thing here now that Soliloquy knows is that this Mix has no HP, and what that means for Soliloquy is that he knows Crystal Butt will probably one-shot hit Sharp Stab as might potentially, and for Buff Duck's side, that's kind of scary. It means that he probably will have to sacrifice sometimes, at least have to attack himself basically.
Yeah, I mean, that is a lot of information revealed in game 1, so we'll see if Soliloquy, or I mean Buff Duck as well, uses that to their advantage. Bouldering was the exact ban from last game, and I can't recall, was Wolfie the same ban that Soliloquy chose against Buff Duck? I don't remember. I mean, I don't remember seeing a Wolfie, so it could have been. It could have definitely been.
Yeah, I think the opening for Soliloquy was it was Turok Kinu, pretty sure. It was Turok Kinu, and then for Buff Duck it was
Tukai, because I remember the Battle of the Birds. Tukai. I just can't recall their neighbor Tem there. So we'll see.
It was Tukai Mashuk versus Turok Kinu. That was the 2v2 in the opening there. I believe. Right. Yeah. That was the 2v2.
There we go. So Soliloquy having that counter pick. So 2 Rock for Golder, and then you got your good old Thunderstrike for the Tukai. So a lot of that opening turn favoring Soliloquy. So we'll see if Soliloquy is able to keep up with that tempo, because he definitely has it just looking at it. A Toxic Ink Windburst, that's as much output as going to be going out from Buff Duck's side, and that's not too much. We know Grumper has Chamomile, so you're not going to be able to poison it. You could always Toxic Ink over here, but yeah, Windburst alone not going to be effective here or here. So it's seemingly like just from the opener already Buff Duck on that back foot just for the opener. So we'll see. That doesn't say the whole game, of course.
Yeah. So...
But see, that's what I always thought, like, you know, blue side, a bit of an advantage, right? I mean, just that counter pick alone, you're like, okay, you got Tukai, let's pick up this Grumper. But we'll see. I mean, Buff Duck always proves me wrong. And we'll see if this last pick does favor him. So able to see what Soliloquy picks as these last two picks. So it will be Gialis. And oh, this is a tough decision. Kinu or Nagai's. He actually recruited the Riken this time. I think you play without a Kinu here. I feel like Nagai's was pretty good, and Kinu, he didn't really utilize it that much. So I feel like Nagai's is stronger here.
Yeah, picking up the Riken this time is interesting. Allowing the Ninja Steel through, so relying on that Riken to do the damage. Remember, there's still a Tukai, there's still a Volcrane. So a bit concerned here how Soliloquy will play this out, but mixing it up a little bit more here. Wants to close it out against Buff Duck. We'll see if he can do it. Right now, Buff Duck, no much shook this time, but perhaps doesn't need it.
Yeah, I mean, the difference here, I don't believe a Volcrane was recruited the previous game, and the Ninja Steel definitely wasn't as well. So 2 new Tems that weren't here in game number 1. We'll see if that makes a difference. I mean, Volcrane very strong against Riken, Gialis. So that's already 2 Tems he kind of checks. So everyone has answers to it. It's just about the playmaking ability of these Tamers. And we'll see. I mean, turn 1, as we mentioned before, Feather Gatling Golder feels pretty strong, and then Thunderstrike Tukai. What can Buff Duck do to try to mitigate the most damage? Oh, you know what? Everything on that Golder side, there's 2 Toxic Tems in the back, so it almost leaves just one Tem Volcrane, so it might be a bit predictable. Unless he just stays in. If he wants to stay in and eat up a Feather Gatling.
Yeah, I mean, Buff Duck, previously, right, he was able to trade tempo, but with the Grumper in the opening, Tukai is obviously has to leave. The Thunderstrike is going to kill it, and this might favor a Mud Shower, actually, into that Volcrane spot if he wasn't prepared for it. Feather Gatling does come out, so it looks like maybe a double up on that Volcrane spot was gonna come through, and in fact it does. So, preparing for either or, right? If there was a swap in on that spot, Feather Gatling would have punished. If there wasn't, Thunderstruck would have definitely killed the
exactly.
Tukai. So, just a trade going in favor of Soliloquy, and an uphill battle. Soliloquy's opening is just so strong right now. Tukai unable to stop Turok, and Grumper doesn't have a direct counter right now. Aside from, actually, Volcrane should do double damage, right? Earth doesn't.
Yeah, against the Grumper?
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes,
against the Grumper, yeah. Not against the Turok, though. Yeah, he doesn't have any melee techniques, but yeah, those Stone Balls should do double damage on the electric of the Grumper, so that is decent damage. But if Volcrane stays in here, Stone Ball from Turok as well was double damage on the Volcrane, and Mud Shower, so 2 earth techniques potentially going to Volcrane. But if Buff Duck wants to read that, that seems like the easiest turn to bring out one of these guys to eat up that earth damage. Volarin or Ninja Steel, pretty ideal to eat that. But then that second turn feels a bit rough, especially if it's a Volarin. Or, I mean, either or, right? You got Feather Gatling for the next turn. Alright, Grumper is going to be retreating, not trying to take more damage than it needs to, trying to eat a Stone Ball with his Nagai's instead.
Ooh, Stone Ball connects onto the Naga-Ise, but does very little damage. The Volcrane is traded in kind. Turok says, you want to see a Stone Ball? This is a Stone Ball.
Here it goes. Here's my ball.
Exactly. Throws down the balls, but one is heavier than the other. Naga-Ise takes a Toxic Ink, though. Will survive.
Yeah, and there we go. Volcrane trying to do some damage onto Grumper, but hey, Soliloquy reading it from a mile away, makes the appropriate swap. But you know what? Buff Duck, fantastic job covering both bases, saying if Grumper is gonna leave, let's go ahead and T-Ink as well, just in case it is Nagai's. And look at that damage. He just joined. It's only turn 3, and it's gonna be falling around in the 20% after this poison tick. So good stuff. I mean, it didn't come without a loss, without a cost there. So you sacrifice your Volcrane, but it's almost getting rid of this Nagais here. So good stuff all around.
Yes, but the Gatling comes through on the Golder as well. Wind Burst does kill off the Naga Issei there. So
nice.
1-for-1 trade going in the favor of Buff Duck. Actually, Buff Duck does get that kill, but the Grumper comes back in, and this is the problem. Tsunami has to hope for a kill on the Grumper, but that's a pipe dream, at least as far as current position goes.
Yeah, 100 HP, a bit too much, and if you stay in, it's pretty much a kamikaze mission. You're gonna be brought down from that Thunder Strike. 4x damage, no Temtem can handle that. We've actually saw it. What was it? It was like an aquatic whirlwind. It didn't one-shot a Volcrane. It was insane. Were you there, Blue? I can't recall.
What happened?
It was like an aquatic whirlwind onto a Volcrane. So it did 4x damage, but it still survived. It was insane.
Yeah. I don't think I was there for that. I don't remember it, at least. I would have lost my mind. Thunderstrike is thrown out on the Nidrasil. Does very little damage. Half damage. Not so much there. Bamboozle as well, protecting the Nidrasil for at least a turn. So Quetzaleno will be completely blocked.
Yeah, so keeping that Nidrasil protected for that Raiken. Good stuff from Buff Duck. But maybe the direction is going into the Golder spot now. Quetzaleno into the Golder should do a decent amount. And then a Thunderstrike, we saw it did about like 10-15%. So I mean, little by little the Golder will fall. And then that Grumper, Gialis, Raiken, I feel like they have the other side of the team covered, right? Grumper covers that Tukai and the Volrun, and then Raiken covers the Nidrasil, and Gialis is just right there in the middle, ready to do damage to whoever it is. I think you do want to focus down this Golder, just because once the Golder's out of the picture, it looks like it's decently easy. So Quetzaleno does decrease that remaining H pool down by half. Is the Thunder Strike enough, or rather the E-Storm?
Electric Storm is thrown down and the Golder survives. That is so big. Bamboozle as well, just to give it another turn of survivability there. And it's not like Grumper has infinite stamina. Now Chamomile's buff is gone. So now, if you Thunderstrike again and you put yourself in an exhaust position, that's gonna be really unfortunate, especially with the fact that Nidrasil might just swap out for maybe a Tukai here, knowing that you have to double up to break Golder's shield, but or Bamboozle, but that is curious. I don't actually know what the right play is to Soliloquy.
Yeah, but with the Golder having that Bamboozle, it might be redirecting Soliloquy's attack onto that right slot. So maybe Buff Duck wants to swap out Nidrasil for Tukai, but it's a bit too risky, so Nidrasil stays in, just gets some good double damage. Mud Showers popping the Golder, and Meteor Swarm. That is the best line of play I think Soliloquy could have done. You kill the Golder, of course, and you do over 50% on the Nidrasil. And look at that, how can we forget about the Prideful? So Raiken, we didn't see him game 1, but he is gonna be doing a lot of stuff. Nidrasil, no way is gonna survive one of those Lenos next turn. But I guess Tukai, actually wait a minute, Grumper's on the board. You can't bring out Tukai, or rather any bird, Tukai or Volrun. Those both are double damage from this Grumper. So wait a minute, is it? I don't want to say it too early, but Soliloquy looks in a strong position so far.
Yes, so Tukai with a Tsunami now threatens both these Tems on the field. And Soliloquy, I don't think Grumper is fast enough to stop this now. For sure, Grumper will die to a Tsunami. If not, Toxic Ink will make sure of it. It just comes down to if Tukai goes first.
Yeah, I mean, the Sea Aura not around anymore. It did get taken care of with, so Tukai will be going before. Actually, I mean, Raiken +1 speed maybe a little bit, but no, in terms of faster than this Grumper, it should be going first. But what's online? Is a Tsunami enough for 39%? Is it enough? I think it will be close. I think it will be enough. You kind of need this Grumper here. You don't absolutely need him, but it'll make your life a bit easier trying to deal with this Voldrin from the back line. So yeah, I feel like it's risky, but this is the Tem you want. 2 Kais on the board. You want this Grumper on the board. Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay, he might be doing it. So if Voldrin comes in, it might be a Tsunami. I think he's going for it. He might be going for it. So, oh, Jesus. 70% from that Leno. But here, this is the biggest question. Does it kill the Grumper? And it does. Actually, the double kill. Dang.
Cleaning up both these Tems, forcing Turok and Gyalis out, and this is looking like a Game 3 situation, ladies and gentlemen. Gyalis, full HP, but this isn't your good old heat up Gyalis, this is your work for your Dala Gyalis, so he ain't gonna be doing much aside from pumping out as much damage as possible. Still formidable amounts, but it's not absurdly gigantic amounts. Double Gash comes out, doesn't kill the Voldrin, which probably would have been the biggest thing here, but sharp range shuts down the Turok, so no assistance from the Rockbird himself.
And wow, man, such impressive play from Buffduck. I mean, that turn, I think with Nidraso staying in, eating up the Leno, pressuring down the Grumper with those spores, that was the difference maker, at least in this match. Because definitely Soliloquy was winning that early game, was winning a bit of the mid game, but the end game was where Buffduck shined. We're seeing it, why he wanted to choose this orange side, and just fantastic stuff. Windburst going off here, Tornado going off the next turn, and as you said, Blue, game 3 will be inevitable at this situation. 2 Kai still at 100 XP. Crystal Spike maybe trying to give it 1-1.
Oh, just not enough. Windburst has come out. Gyalis doesn't get the kill, and unfortunately, Buffduck will be taking that, forcing us to a game 3, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see Buffduck, can he reverse sweep it, or will Soliloquy close it out?
Yeah, game number 3, as we said, of our finals, the very last game. We are here. And if it's anything like the previous games, yeah, Buffduck going with the Voldrin. We'll see if Soliloquy wants to indeed go with the Wolfie.
Okay, now who will mix it up is the question, because Buffduck basically played his game into Soliloquy, and Soliloquy lost.
Oh, look at this, Blue. He's making Buffduck, so Soliloquy lost, so he was able to decide, and he decided, you know what, Buffduck, you like to play on the orange side, let me take this away from you. We'll see if it bites him in the butt or it ends up favoring him, but we saw Buffduck feels better. He feels more comfortable working on the orange side. So we'll see Soliloquy giving him the blue side to work with. Does it work in Soliloquy's favor? We're gonna find out here.
Yeah, the big thing about Buffduck's team is that he loses tempo in the first turn anyway, right? Like, at both games, Buffduck never has tempo in the opening. He scales and he outplays in the mid game. That's where he shines. The big thing that Soliloquy's taking away is the last pick. Buffduck does not get to decide what he wants for his last 3 Tems before Soliloquy does. Therefore, he doesn't have that mid-game preparation in motion. He just has to rely on the opening, but against Soliloquy, I think he really doesn't care if Buffduck gets the opening tempo, because a lot of Buffduck's Tems aren't going to get that opening tempo. I mean, the one time Buffduck got an opening tempo, it was instantly taken back.
Yeah, alright, so Soliloquy does get to play with that MVP we saw a couple games ago. Yowler, is it gonna be pretty effective as we saw against, who was it? It was against Feynman, right? Feynman, is this Yowler gonna be MVP just like that? Or is the mix enough? Is that single one mental tem? Yeah. We'll see. I mean, blue side, you get the counter pick.
Yeah.
Alright, we'll be the Mashuk here. Alright, so trying to pressure down this 2-rock.
So, yeah, remember, Mashuk previously didn't really
but wait,
wait,
the tenderness. We haven't seen that yet from Buff Duck, but tenderness is zero hold. So maybe right off the gate with those tenderness pressure on, either of these tems pretty effective, but obviously more effective on this Yowler.
Yeah. Well, plus initially, remember we talked. When he picked Mashuk in the first half or in the first game, that's what we thought as well. He would just start tenderness spamming the 2-rock, but it literally never came out. The Mashuk was on the board for 3 turns, not a single tenderness to be found. So that's what concerns me here. I don't think Buff Duck actually has tenderness on his Mashuk. And if he does, maybe just saving it for the 3rd game, maybe a little bit risky, but if that is
you're
the
right.
case, then
That's
he
what we
definitely has a
saw.
chance
We saw it from Feynman. We have yet to see it from Buff Duck. But maybe I wouldn't put it past him. I think tenderness is a really good technique, especially a lot of physical tems.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Then the problem is, does Buff Duck agree? Is it on his Mashuk? But you only have so much you can put in your in your set. You have 4 moves, right? So we'll have to see. We've seen Spores, Urushiol, and Uppercut. What's that 4th move? Right? That's the question. What is that 4th move?
We will see, and this looks like quite the aggressive team already. Kinu there for the support, but this is what's been carrying him to victory. Giala's Yowler 2-rock, that has been his go-to all tournament. We'll see in game number 3 if it's gonna do him, if it's gonna carry him for that victory. Or Buff Duck, as we keep saying, number 1 seed, not messing around this tournament, came here to play. 1 more game left, and has the decision between Volcrane and Mix. I mean, Volcrane good against Gialis. Oh, alright, so no mental tems. I mean, you don't really need mental tem against Yowler, you just need some good damage. So maybe those 2 Kais, those anaerobic Volerants, or rather the aerobic Volerants, should be enough. But you know what? We get to get all those answers right here, right now, because it is game number 3, the very last game of this tournament. Let's see who's taking the crown home for this Plus Cup number 7. I don't know. It's been so close matchups. I don't know who to put our money on. I'm just excited to see a great game.
Urushiol is thrown out here immediately on the 2-rock, so 4 ticks straight up. Again, no tenderness, so we'll have to assume that there is absolutely no tenderness in this Mashuk. Otherwise, he definitely would have dropped the Yowlar on the field as well. Gonna clinch out on this Mashuk, so just all in on devastating the Mashuk's HP. Gets it below 50% range, which might be enough actually from the 2-rock's FG. Toxic Ink and Urushiol does their damage, but the Mashuk definitely taking more damage, at least initially, right? The Toxic Ticks will definitely do more long con, but if the Mashuk dies right now, then unfortunately those Toxic Ticks won't really be even trade.
Exactly. I mean, essentially the 2-rock is about 50% as well with those Toxic Ticks, so similar damage, it just takes a bit to get there. But yeah, Mashuk not feeling safe whatsoever. That was just a clinch. Savage Suplex is online right now. That probably takes Mashuk all the way down from this point. Or if he just wants to get some good damage on the Golder as well, doesn't seem too bad. I mean, the Toxic Ticks have been applied, so we're most likely, if Mashuk wants to stay in, I feel like it's going down, so it won't stay in. But of course, it would have those uppercuts if it did elect to do so. But what can Golder do here? I feel like Golder doesn't have, of course, a lot of damage. He's usually just there for those pollutions, for those toxic inks, those bamboozles during the Sea Aura. Not gonna be able, once they already have the Toxic Ticks, not gonna be able to do so much. So
Yeah.
potential double swap from Buff Duck. We're gonna find out. So Golder, as we mentioned, did not have a place on that board. Is gonna be swapping for this Voldaren, and Mashuk stayed in. We'll see if that's the play.
Oh, for the guy that goes in the Voldaren, assumed that the Mashuk will be leaving, but Voldaren will be leaving this game because the suplex shuts down the Voldaren. Mashuk survives, but at what cost? Voldaren swapped in.
Yeah, that was
Assuming
actually
that the-
huge.
Oh.
That was a big damage dealer gone without doing any
no.
of that damage. So that aerobic bird, not even +1 speed, it going down.
Jesus.
So man, that was pretty devastating for Buff Duck. I mean, you probably would have rather had your Golder go down there rather
Oh
than
my
that
God.
Voldaren, because now how are you dealing with the Yowler, Gialis, of
Yeah.
course maybe Volcran Tukai,
Yeah.
but
I
still.
mean, I did say, right, Buff Duck is more of a middle game player. He brings it back in the mid game
Mhm.
after losing a couple of tempos, but soliloquy, his objective is, no, we'll not make it to mid game. We'll just end the game before that ever happens, and Buff Duck will be rendered useless, right? So, again, Buff Duck just has to
Nice.
find a way here. Uppercut does secure the kill on the Turok for sure. That's a good start. The Oshidashi is the only move here possible from the Yowler aside from Clinch, and Clinch isn't played on the Golder. Does 22 damage. Toxic ticks as well, so the Yowler now dangerously low, threatened to be killed off here, and Buff Duck still has a chance. Soliloquy may have been a bit too overzealous.
Alright, so wait a minute, the Naga is coming out. This might be favoring this Golder. Golder loves to be paired up with this Deceit Aura. So yeah, this T-Inks, this Toxic Inks could be looking straight into Nagai's, or at the very least, let this Golder get some bamboozles going off. But yeah, I'm surprised it was this Deceit Aura. Perhaps just wanted to get off a good beta burst on this Mashuk. A beta burst at this HP should be, I mean, it looks like an attack invested Mashuk. So obviously not a lot of special defense, especially without that coat. Oh no, actually double screen's almost similar. But yeah, I think at 42% that effective damage from the Naga should be enough. But of course, you stay in, you're gonna be eating that Toxic Ink from this Golder. So it's decent trades on both sides.
Turok, because of Turok's death, actually, both teams have roughly the same HP lines. The big issue is if this Bamboozle comes out first before the Naga Issei. Like, if you Bamboozle the Mashuk and save it, I think that's the plan. Although Golder going down means that you've lost your other toxic attempt to deal with Naga Issei, and I'm not sure if you want to keep Mashuk alive, especially with Metaverse still here. But this Yowler, such a tough attempt to deal with, especially when you lack the damage. I mean, Voldaren being dead so fast is the reason for it. Tukai comes in, setting up for the tornado. Toxic Ink does come out, actually. Goes first, of course, onto the Naga Issei, but suplex downtown. Golder takes that like a champ. Survives it cleanly. Beta Burst is thrown out as well. On the Golder, really wants to kill it off. Thought the Bamboozle would come in, but no Bamboozle to be seen. And now Tornado on Tukai, on lock, ready to just kill off this Yowler, and I think that's the plan. Or actually, does Tukai have a slow move? Unfortunately, no, nothing slower.
Maybe
So,
if he had access to Blizzard like Wimplump would, perhaps that would be ideal, but we haven't seen it all tournaments, so most likely does not have it, or honestly might not be able to learn it. But yeah, I love this play from Soliloquy, knowing that Mashuk had to swap out there, just doubled up on the Golder, so Golder just one shot away from going down. And yeah, Tukai not gonna be doing a lot. I mean, the Tornado for sure gonna kill Yowler, but Yowler gonna be able to go first. Of course, Deceit Aura flipping that speed script. So yeah, I mean, Tukai could get the kill, but not before Yowler does a boatload of damage, of course.
Yeah, Golder should kill the Naga Issei here, fortunately. The big thing is if Yowler decides to Oshidashi the Tukai, and if Tukai eats that, right? Because Toxic Ink will kill Naga Issei because 50% is 12.5% plus the Toxic Ink damage. But Buff Duck says no, but Golder will be kept alive. Mashuk will be biting the bullet instead for that Golder if it does come out. So Soliloquy protects the Naga Issei as well for the Gayala. So if the Toxic did come out, that would have been the case instead. So Clinch comes out on the Tukai, will not kill for sure here. I don't think it does enough. In fact, not even over 50%. Tornado comes out on the Naga Issei spot actually, and the Gyalis takes it. Quite a bit of damage. Now Yowler out of stamina. Windburst should kill.
Yeah, it might be close, but I think you're right, but I think Windburst should kill. At the very least, if it doesn't kill, if Yowler stays in and wants to attack, that is a big overexertion, so he might kill himself, but I don't think Yowler staying in. It could just be a good trusted Kinu buffing up the Gyalis as you're so used to seeing from the old meta. And it's still pretty good. It's still pretty good here. I think buffing Gyalis is quite nice. But Tukai now with Sharp Rain online. He's been on the board long enough. Sharp Rain should do a good chunk on this Gyalis. Probably over 50% of that remaining HP. So Soliloquy has to be careful. I mean, maybe he could go with the good old switcheroo. Gyalis for Kinu buffing up Yowler, but then Yowler not going to be doing too much in the next 1 to 2 turns.
Yeah, I think actually Gyalis for Kinu, and if Windburst doesn't kill, Comebacker should slay. But that is a bit. I mean, that's just a theory, right? Maybe perhaps we might see that. But
yeah, it could be a bit risky, but yeah, just stating out some line of plays potentially. But with Mashuk here, of course, he still has Golder in the back line, so does have that Urshel synergy available to him. But Tukai feels good right now. He's pretty healthy. Oh, but okay, maybe electing to go. Oh, no. Doesn't go with the Urshel synergy. Instead goes for the one pressuring out this Gyalis. Let's see, I was almost thinking hook kick on Tukai. Yeah. Let's see if Soliloquy was thinking, because that would be pretty big.
Yeah, Kinu gets swapped in here for the Yowler, as was sort of theorized here. Hook kick, that's Volcrane. Remember, the defense is so high, so it survives. The uppercut, though, gonna come in, but double gash, I don't think it does enough here to kill a Volcrane, so Stone Ball is in the books here for Buff Duck, theoretically speaking.
Yeah, things are looking close. Look at the HP. Everything looking about the same. Golder and Yowler looking about the same. Mashuk, Gyalis, Volcrane, Nagas, and then Tukai and Kinu. Kinu yet to hit the board. Actually, wait, what am I talking about? It's on the board right now.
Yeah, it just hit the board.
It just hit the board, of course. So yeah, so close. But Blue, so if hook kick did 60%, a double gash won't kill, right? I believe it won't. It might be pretty close. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So just checking it now. Hook kick does 110. Double gash is 49. So it does more than half. So no, it would do like 30% ish.
Okay. So might have to double up, which doesn't seem too bad. I mean, anything that comes out in that slot will be dead as well. The Golder will die. Tukai takes a big damage, but Tukai comes in on the Golder spot. And Volcrane double gash bringing it down, but the
Beta Burst is faster. The Beta Burst is too fast and furious. It's all about family. Tukai comes in, but the Volcrane is unfortunately dead before Stone Ball comes out. Mashuk comes in as well here with a Tukai, but Gyalis, I mean the Kinu, Soliloquy's Kinu, I believe it's just such a monster.
MVP of the tournament.
It has been MVP. I mean, Mans is still the only S tier in the game right now, so. I
don't know. I think Soliloquy, we were saying it all the time that Yowler has yet to make a finals appearance, and Soliloquy is the one to show us all what the power of Yowler can be. So Crystal Bite doing big damage onto Tukai. Beta Burst, where are you going? Are we knocking out the Tukai? No, we're trying to go for the Mashuk, and it lives just enough. Gyalis doesn't go down though.
Yeah, Gyalis just still doesn't take enough damage here. That's the worst part about this. Buff Duck down to the red zone.
Yeah.
This is so rough. Fighting for survival, but it's just not here. And Kinu I mean, showing his prowess. I mean, we haven't seen Yowler at all, but it looks like Kinu has carried him to the finals. Sharp Stabs takes out the Tukai, but Shook, I'm not sure, gets even a word in this matter. Kinu will take him out, and it's just the Gulder.
Oh, I think we have a new champion in the building. Soliloquy should be edging this out. There is very little there. Actually, I mean, almost 0% chance. A Golder at 20%. Not enough for 4 remaining attempts on Soliloquy side. It looks like Buff Duck does indeed prefer that orange side, and just like that, the Crystal Bite ending things off in quite a rapid fashion, I will say. But let's give it to Soliloquy, guys. Round